Okay guys, here is my $700 budget build. I've gotten started now. I've kind of got the case dissected right now. Both sides off, getting ready to mount the motherboard and kind of show you a few things I've already done already. I added a second 120mm fan. This one actually came with the case, and there was a spot here for a second one right here. Went ahead and got it mounted. It mounted right up in there. Went ahead and run the cables to the cable management here. Basically, on the case, that's all I've done so far. I did preset the motherboard in there to make sure my standoffs look like they're going to match, which the standoffs are going to match as far as that goes. Here's kind of a view of the meat and potatoes of the system right here. In fact, really, this is about 2/3 of the cost of the whole system right here. As you can see, I've got my be careful, the last thing I want to do is drop this motherboard, but I'm keeping that foam protector behind it too. But as you can see, I've got my stock AMD cooler mounted. I've got my Ryzen CPU installed. I've got my 2 sticks of 8 gig RAM for 16 gigs of RAM. If you notice, after I read the motherboard, you want to go in A2 and B2 if you're running 2 sticks on an ASRock. If you run 4 sticks, then you obviously add the other 2. That's for hyper-threading, I'm pretty sure. As you can see, I have my 1TB SSD Intel drive mounted in the M2 slot. There's also another M2 slot available if I want to add another one, which would be real tempting. Really cleans this thing up. This is the first build I've used the M2, but I'm like, wow. Pretty much right here, if you look at this as a whole, I have a complete system pretty much. You got CPU, RAM, and a 1 gig drive. The only thing that'll be lacking is a video card to make it a complete system, which obviously I have that as well. But I want to kind of show you, I've got my CPU mounted, got my M2 drive mounted, got my memory set, and I've got my fan, and I'm getting ready to go ahead and lift this thing back up and put it in the case, which it'll use the standoffs here. I've already got my backing plate installed there. So the next time I'll be back here, I'll have this motherboard up in there and mounted. Just kind of wanted to give you an overview of the populated motherboard here. Okay, we've now got the motherboard mounted in this case. It's kind of an interesting case. Basically, it's split in two, and the motherboard goes on this side, and there's a metal divider, as you see here, and all your power supply and wire management's on the back side, the sill side. So it ought to look pretty good. I'll have to work on wiring management. So far, these are only 2 wires. I'm having to, everything else I was able to tuck in around the back, as far as I got all my header and my LED lights and power switch and all that wired up in my USB 3s. By the way, this case has 2 USB 3 ports on the top, which, thank goodness, we're finally going to USB 3 on the front instead of just USB 2. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of give you an update. Here's the motherboard set in the case. This case actually could hold this is a full ATX. It could even, you can see from the studs here, it could take a huge board. No problem with a full-size motherboard fitting in here. 20 radiator down there, no problem if you wanted to. It'd be a bottom radiator. But anyway, just wanted to give you an update so far on the build. This is where we're at. Like I said, I'm going to stop every once in a while, kind of show you as I move along on it. But we've got, obviously, we populated the whole motherboard before I mounted the motherboard in there. And I actually did all the headers and everything. I always find it easier to leave the motherboard loose in there and get all the headers and USB ports and all those cables plugged in before you fully mount it, and that's what I did. Then I went ahead and got it mounted all the way in. So the next step is to I'll be dropping the power supply in next. Is what I'll do, and start powering that part of it, or running the wires to the motherboard and everything. Well, there we go. Little update where we're at. As you can see now, I've got my power supply mounted, and I've got my ASRock RX 580 video card mounted. Got a little bit. I haven't done any real cable management other than obviously I've run everything into the back, so I'll wrap everything up, make it nice and pretty, and lift up. And if I want to add some mass storage on the other side of the case, I think I'm gonna do a little RGB light on the side of here as well, with the included RGB, and spiff it up that way. But for the most part, the system's pretty much built. Motherboard's in, video cards in, power supply in. So really it's down to cable management and just cleaning it up. But I want to kind of give you a view. She's looking awesome. I'm really liking the way this this case laid out. Okay, well, we're pretty much done with the build. I've even got my LED lights mounted in here. Got my wire management as fancy as I'm going to get it. I could have probably spent a little more time on it, but this is a gaming PC. This is not a show PC, although I do want it to look good when people look at it, but I didn't want to get crazy with it and spend a lot of time tucking wires. And I definitely tied wrapped everything and tucked everything in the back that I could. There's a few things. I could have cut off this extra. It's got 2/8 on the power supply. It didn't have a single. I was tempted to cut this extra one off here, but then what if I upgraded a video card later on and I needed 2? So I went and just tucked it back in there. That's probably the only thing I could have fancied up a little bit more, but as you can see, really, I've only got one set of wires here. Everything else is tucked in and behind it. Everything's mounted. Video card's mounted. The MX580. And the 2600, the Ryzen's in there. Stock fan. The ASRock motherboard. Got two 120s. This case really, the way it's designed is really, you could put another 120 down here, but I don't really, it's going to be sucking dirt from the bottom, and I'm not really apt to that, so I think I'm going to stick with the two 120s in the front. From what I can tell so far, it's getting adequate cooling. There is a spot for a smaller, I'm guessing probably, I feel like I need the extra air, but it's got a lot of venting. The whole bottom basically is open venting. The front's all a grill. It's got two fans pulling in. I don't think I'm going to have any problem with heat, but if the case does seem to run a little hot, I could always add another fan, and I could always drop two more 120s in the bottom if I wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to want to that because it'll sound like a vacuum cleaner if I do that too, and really don't. I just kind of keep this PC quiet. Anyway, this is the side, and this is actually the left side, which is, I know, is unusual. Back to this case is really cool. I'm really impressed with it. If you're looking for a cool case, this is definitely one I'd put up there for the budget. Got no complaints with the build of the case. It went together really good. Plenty of room to mount the motherboard. Let me go ahead and flip her around here, and you can see the other side. As you can see, this is, I'll edit the, okay, as you can see, this is the other side. And basically you have your power supply here, and then, you know, of course, all your wire management on this side. And as you can see, I tucked everything, most of my wires on this side. This is a modular power supply. I don't know if I said it earlier. Right now I've only got one modular feeding the video card. I guess they call it semi-modular because actually the ATX, the 24 pin to the motherboard is mounted in the power supply, and it has one USB or SATA type connector. Well, two. One of them's powering all my LEDs, but the other one, so it's going to go up here and feed that. I'll probably have to go to the second set. It came with two more sets of SATA connectors if I need them. There's a capability to mount 4 drives here, 2 2.5s, and 2 3.5s. Let me go ahead and get that little cradle and show you. I think it's really cool. Hold on a second here. Okay, this is your cradle. Now you can see it's got room here on the right side to mount 2 3.5s on the front and back. And then on the other side, it's got your 2.5 SSD drives that you mount in front and back. But basically, the way this does is this cradle sets up in here with thumb screws, just like that. And then you put two drum screws on one, thumb screw on that, and there's how your cradle sets in on this side. That's pretty much the build. I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to mount the 3.5s. Or I've got another two. I've got a 2 terabyte and a 4 terabyte 3.5 hard drives that I'm going to put over here, but I need to get, you know, all the data transferred over, and actually I'm going to spend a little bit of time obviously moving all my apps and everything from my old PC over to this one, and those are both storage drives anyway. So once I get all my apps and everything running on this, I'll go ahead and take the old case apart and pull the 2 3.5s to mount here. But that's, I mean, you know, that's going to take no time at all. It's just a matter of running a couple SATA cables and a couple of power cables for it. Let me go ahead and flip it back around. I'll show you. This is actually got, this motherboard's actually got, I know it's kind of dark in here. Let's see if I can get this lit here. It's got 6 there and 2 up there. So this has 8 SATA ports. So I could actually run 8 SATA drives in this. Plus, it's got 2 M2, which one of them's down behind the video card. That's the 1 gigabyte that I'm running for my boot drive. And then it's got another for another M2 SSD drive there as well. It's got an M2 Wi-Fi, which that's on the way. In fact, let me show you. I've already modded up I ordered it from Amazon, and of course you had to, it's one of those little Intel M2 Wi-Fi cards, which will be mounted right there. But you also, of course, you have to have antennas, so I went on there on Amazon and found a couple of connectors, which, let me get this here, right here, which is this right here that I set up, which is basically one of the two the dills there. I just drilled those out and mounted my dills, and I got the right wires. Those will connect to the M2 card, and this will set in here, and that's for my antennas. But I'll put all the link for all this stuff that I purchased too down in the comments. But these were only like $6 or $7, and this worked out perfect. I was kind of lucky. These are slotted, so it was real easy to make a couple. I think those are like 3/8 holes, and then this just mount the connectors, and then, you know, get you a couple Wi-Fi antennas on there. But yeah, it'll actually set in one of these slots here, and then it'll hook to the two M2 connections off the Intel Wi-Fi card there. So I have built-in Wi-Fi as well. Anyway, that's it for the build. I'll go ahead and I think I'll put the covers on it, and I'll power it up and kind of let you see what it looks like with all the LEDs and everything I got in it. And then that'll pretty much finish the build. And then I'll have one more video where I'm going to go and benchmark this and see what my performance is. I think it's going to be really good so far. I have already you know, booted it up and put a base Windows 10 Pro on it just to get it up, make sure everything was functioning. But obviously I haven't done all the tweaking and modding as far as, or I shouldn't say modding, but as far as adding all my apps and everything back into it. But anyway, this is pretty much the build. Like I said, let me pause this, and I'll get the case covers and put them back on, because I'm pretty much done, other than, like I said, adding the two 3.5 inch mass storage drives, which I will do that here later. Okay, one assembled case. Here she goes. Are you ready for the power up? Oh, by the way, I couldn't help myself. This isn't actually part of the $700 bill, but I had to get me a Blackweb gaming keyboard with cherry keys to go with it, just because. But anyway, I think it's going to be pretty cool. By the way, this uses all magnetic filters, which I really like that. I guess it's something new. It's the first case I've had with it, but I love those. You know, it's just got magnet all the way around a mesh, so when you want to clean the filter, you just pull it off and wash it and put it back on. Anyway, let's power up and you get your first view of my new case. Which, by the way, let's set this keyboard up to kind of the side here. It has LEDs you can control on the front, the case LED, as well as a power and reset switch. But let's go ahead and power her on. Boom. There she is. Wished I had all that fancy production stuff. I would had a drum roll and a da-da. But there she is in all of her gaming glory. I, of course, added those LEDs. You know, I had the LED controller built on the ASRock board. I just got it doing a sequence right now with green, because the rest of the cases LEDs are green. But I have full function of those. I can make them solid colors. I could do pretty much whatever I want. I think that looks pretty cool the way I've got them laid out there. Hopefully this is capturing that pretty good. Here's the front of the case. Hope you can see that. And you can change the LEDs by just pushing a button here. Go with the white, yellow, pink, red, orange, red, green. But I really like the whole green thing. But like I said, I can't control those. Those are controlled by the case LED controller. But, you know, obviously, as I showed you, you can change the colors. But and inside here, these I can turn them off or on the software, or I can match them with the case, or I might just turn them white just so you can see everything real clear on the inside. Let me pause for a second and turn the case around. I don't think there's much to see on the other side, but we'll go ahead and show it. And here's what you see on the left-hand side, which I do have that cool RGB fan, so it's kind of cool looking. So even on the left side, it's got a little bit of color to it. That pretty much gives you the whole view of it. Like cool keyboard, I got it lit the same way. In fact, let me put it back on top, turn it back around, and put it on top, and we'll give a dark view of it. And there's what she looks like in the dark. Pretty cool, huh? Hopefully you're getting a good view of that. Of course, obviously my keyboard is just like my case. I can change all the same colors so I can make it whatever I want for my mood. Anyway, there's my $700 PC build. Complete. Probably volume 3 will be me getting everything configured and running some benchmarks and seeing how this 580 ASRock Ryzen $700 gaming build does in the benchmark. Till then, the Electron Man. This video was produced by me, the Electron Man. And hey, if you get a chance, subscribe. It helps me out. And have a good day.